Hello and welcome. This is our first real video on the Oroville Dam project. If you saw the first video, you'll see what prompted these. And we're going to go down through the failure modes of the dam, the issues that are evolving on the dam that threaten the integrity of the dam itself. And the first one of those that we have is the primary spillway. So we're going to talk about that. Before I get started on this, another thing that I wanted to bring up here and ask for your help on. People of Northern California in the shadow of this dam have been awesome to me, and I traveled to California and gave a speech at the Church of Glad Tidings discussing the dam. It's a very interesting situation evolved from that. Hardly believable, quite frankly. And that is that we videoed the thing, and also the church videoed the speech that was given in other speeches on the 6th Liberty Tour that Paul Preston put on. That was where I spoke. And Paul's probably a controversial guy. I am not. But it doesn't matter. People have the right to opinions, and many controversial, even sensational opinions turn out to be true in these times. So at the Church of Glad Tidings, a video was done by the church, and that was to be given to us as well. Well, the card that was within my camera self-destructed. Apparently it jumped out of the camera, put tape on itself, snapped itself in half, and then stuck itself back into my camera, which is very odd. I found it very odd. In fact, I found it unbelievable. But that didn't matter because it was also videoed by the church. So as Mr. Preston said to me when I asked him about the video, he said, well, strange things happen around here, but it may have just been that your card got broken and you didn't notice it. We'll know if we don't get the video from the church. I said, indeed, we went about our normal lives, and I came back to Ohio, where I am again now. Well, the church gave Paul the video, but suspiciously, my entire speech was deleted from the video given him. Also, all discussion of the Jefferson movement was deleted from the video given him, and also discussion about the Declaration of Independence, which was the subject of the Liberty Tour. Words escape me. I'm not sure what this church stands for. Certainly if I were a member of the church, this would disgust me. If there's a Christian organization in Northern California that is offended by our Declaration of Independence and the valid concerns of the citizens of North California, forgive me, that are exemplified by the Jeffersonian movement, which I think is a very valid and very, very well considered movement. And my speech, which had to do with a dam that threatens the lives of 200,000 people. If this is a problem for that church, it's a church that is preaching something that I do not understand. So I ask those of you who have helped me so many times in the past, in so many ways, to get involved, if you will, for me, please, and help me to get that video from the Church of Glad Tidings. And if not, then help me to let people know what kind of a place, venue, church that is, that they would do such a thing. I find it disgusting and unthinkable, honestly. Now, back to reality. I apologize I had to put you through that.
The Church of Glad Tidings has a Facebook page, and they also have a website through which you can contact them.
It would be much appreciated. I want that video. I don't want to sound like a sensationalist, especially when hanging out with friends like Paul Preston, who is a great guy and an intelligent man, but is a bit of a tin hat. When things happen like this that are hard to believe, when one states the honorable facts, it seems so sensational as to be unbelievable. I can tell you I'm an analytical kind of a guy. I just state facts. The probability that these two things happened by accident are nearly nil. They didn't. People actually consorted to deny the public access to information that was honest information. It may have been other than what they wished to have disseminated, but I find it unforgivable. But we need to get back to the principal spillway. There are 4 modes that are progressing that are issues that need addressed about the dam, and I had promised you that we would go through those from the most significant to the least significant. The failure modes that I see, and this is subjective, so others may see others or not see some of these as failure modes, and that's fine. We'll certainly engage that in comments and things, and I love those discussions. They don't threaten me. I enjoy those kinds of discussions. The most severe, I believe, is the cutback evolution of the principal spillway. Lisa's here with me. She's my wife, but she coincidentally also was the president of a large company for many, many years doing dam repair projects across the eastern United States. She's a very knowledgeable lady when it comes to issues of dam safety and dams. And that's why she's here. She knows things that I don't know, and I know things that she doesn't know about dams. So she's going to be involved in these as well. The primary spillway, as we know, failed on February the 7th. Now, there's an argument that no, it didn't fail. In fact, a statement was made that things are working exactly as they should. Well, things are not working exactly as they should. None of these things are working exactly as they should. A spillway should never come apart as the principal spillway did. So we have the principal spillway, which we're going to discuss right now. The emergency spillway, which failed after it was actuated in order to save the principal spillway. The next is a more remote kind of a failure mode, and that is a rotational plunge pull at the base of the embankment of the dam itself. And the fourth is the most remote of the 4, and it is a hydrated slope on the left groin that's had much discussion and many articles written about it lately. I think initiated perhaps by Mr. Preston and my discussion of it on the dam a short while ago. The primary spillway is in a failure mode. The plate slabs are failing, and that is progressing up the dam. Some things have been done which probably will stop the evolution of the failure from the area in the breakover section of the spillway where the pull occurred on the 7th. And that is some 2 series of rock anchors that have been placed there. I assume they've been placed properly. And that area of the spillway is on this weathered rock, which has been called bedrock by others, but which has proved itself to be erosive and not high recovery in its nature. There are 2 areas that had fill beneath them in the plate slabs of the sluiceway, which is the structure itself that goes down the main face of the abutting soils of the dam. Another argument that's taken place is that the spillways are not part of the dam, as if somehow these elements were off there by themselves and them failing left and right was not a problem at all. because they're not part of the dam. It's a ridiculous argument. It's an unprofessional argument, and it is inaccurate literally. The spillways are a part of the dam. Even if they're on indigenous soil, they're still a part of the dam. They may not be a part of the embankment, but as the evolution of the failure of the principal spillway shows, the angle of repose, the angle of the rock beneath this erosive material, is canted back in a plane toward the embankment itself. So it does threaten the embankment. The further up it goes, the more it threatens it. It failed in an area where there was up to 6 feet of fill. I believe clay was used for that fill, which probably was inappropriate. But the actual reason for the failure was porting beneath the plate slabs of the principal spillway. So can you explain what porting is and how it evolves, and also explain how, judging from the venting of the drains, where this porting is happening to the best we can know, and kind of an idea for people of what has happened to get us to this point?
Sure. Anytime you have a place where concrete, earth, and water come together, the water is always working to get under the concrete and to migrate its way to the lowest point. So what happened at Oroville is not atypical. The water found its way under the spillway somehow, and then when it flowed down, it simply eroded the areas of fill. So the persistent voids that have been mentioned in many inspection reports have been there all along, eroded by that water. Also, sorry, I have no idea what else. You gave me like 3 things.
Well, that's it. There had been a previous repair where it had failed in the same place.
Right.
And we had been contacted by somebody. We have not documented this, but what they explained to us was that they were involved in that repair, that drains were found to be completely failed within the void, and that they were asked to just fill the hole with grout. The venting of the drains is the next thing, and what that means. If you look back even on YouTube today, to years ago when they operated the spillway, you'll note this venting of drains, and what that means is very, very important, I think.
There's a 2011 video in particular on YouTube that was taken basically by a tourist that shows the spillway, and the drains are just squirting out like fire hoses. What should be on the other side of those drains is basically earth. The fact that there's not just water coming out, but water under pressure like that tells you that a pressurized situation exists in the area of the drains, which is underneath the slab. And it exists at a high enough pressure to force the water up and through those drains. So that is a very obvious clue, and should have been a clue to everyone operating the dam, that there was a serious issue there that it needed explored. This doesn't require an in-detail inspection to see this. When the spillway is flowing, the drains are shooting water, and that's not normal and not okay. They particularly start shooting water at the point that the spillway, which begins rather flat, takes its sharp turn downward. And from that point, the entire length of the spillway before it fell apart, the drains were flowing like mad.
If you were on a dam, and you have been many, many times, and in your inspection you actuated the spillway, which you do when you inspect a dam, you open the valves, and you noted that all of the phreatic drains around the sluiceway began blowing water out like fire hoses, what would you think of that situation? What would be your initial move, and what would you do?
I would be very disturbed by that, of course. And the first thing that I would do is understand the drain system and see immediately that there's no reason for this, that it's inappropriate. I would call it to the attention of the owner right away and tell them that they urgently needed a chemical grouting program to stop the water from migrating under the slab and fill the voids. That would stop the water coming from the drains without ever touching the drains. They are the symptom, not the problem. The problem exists under the spillway in the form of voids.
So the drains then, which are porting this water violently, are porting the water because the water at pool pressure, not phreatic water, which is groundwater. This is not water migrating through the soils or evolving through the dam that's being vented into these drains, which is what they're made for. They're made so that when it rains or when the soils are hydrated, that water does not pool beneath these structures, but instead vents into the sluiceway and runs down. And often you'll see these drains with a seeping phreatic water coming out of them. That's what they're made for. But violently porting like that tells us that there's some communication between the pressurized water of the pool and the drains. This never should exist. It never should exist. And to answer the obvious question there, where is it getting this communication? I have no idea. Now, the people operating the dam should know that, and they should tell you that. And it's very important to know that and to understand it. I don't understand it because the facts are hidden from us by the very people who are managing the dam. So I can't even, I have some suspicions, but I do not have firm knowledge of where this is happening. Since when you see the evolution of this, and there are calculations that can be done, it'd be an exercise in futility. If you saw a drain running and it was running fairly violently partway down the slope of a sluiceway, you could calculate that by spigot theory, and you could find out what the pressure was at that point. From that point, then you could calculate what's the total dynamic head driving this water. You'd have to do a variable for skin friction depending on grain size and those kind of things. So it's all for naught anyway. But in this situation, it's not even worth doing the calculation. Every single drain was venting violently the whole way down the sluiceway. A long time ago when I saw this, right before the failure, coincidentally, I said, that spillway is going to fail. It's got porting water beneath it. How many times have we seen sluiceways with porting water beneath them? How many?
I have literally hundreds of pictures and videos of voids under spillways. And the voids can be huge. They can be deeper than the dam is tall even, because they're developing against earth, or in this case, severely weathered erosive rock. And there's almost no end to how deep the water can dig underneath there. But there comes a time, just as happened with this dam, where there's so little support left under these plate slabs that they simply collapse. They were built to be a spillway, not a bridge. And when there's nothing underneath them anymore, they will collapse. The problem could have been fixed for pennies on the dollar and should have been fixed many years ago.
Now, in simple observation, you've done many, many inspections on dams. I've done, I don't know how many inspections on dams, certainly into the hundreds. Should this have been caught? Should someone have noticed this? Is it reasonable to expect that an engineer filling out a report and sending it to FERC would have seen this coming?
Absolutely. This is not a problem that it requires a couple of degrees to recognize. This is a problem that if someone were at all educated on dams, at all familiar, had been to even one conference a year and sat through some of the training that was offered, they would absolutely recognize this problem, at least to the point to know this isn't right, we need to explore more. And I'm astonished that with all of the levels of supervision over this dam, that did not occur.
Me too. Me too. I have great respect for FERC. I met a gentleman who was their director of dam safety a while back. The guy's name Dan Mahoney. A wonderful man, an intelligent, brilliant man. I can't imagine him seeing these reports that came through where people are not even inspecting the spillways. We inspect tiny little farm ponds, and we go to the spillways, we sound them with hammers, we drill holes through them, we stick television cameras down them. On a larger dam, we use ground penetrating radar and take it up and down the plate slabs looking for voids. You know, we walk around, we cut brush, we look under things, we prod the soils.
We listen, because you can often hear water falling when you can't see the path of water.
But this situation that has been allowed to evolve at this dam, and I'm not, you know, I honestly dislike these people, and that's a shame. I should be above that. But
well, you're a straight shooter, and they're not shooting straight.
They're not shooting straight, and they're distorting the truth intentionally, and they failed their charge. They've watched a crack evolve in the structure of the gates, this huge structure that holds the 8 gates, 17 feet wide and 36 feet tall, or whatever they are. It doesn't matter how big they are. Huge. And, you know, these Tainer gates, these radial arm gates within these things, cracks evolved. So, you know, things happen, probably from improper operation, probably from closing the gate too rapidly, or a failure of a mechanism. It doesn't matter why. But there's a crack. Now, this crack gets bigger, and they look at it, and they say the crack has gotten bigger. We'll watch it. And sure enough, they watch it, and the next year they look again, and it's gotten bigger. Not smaller, but bigger. It will never get smaller. It will never heal itself. It's only going to get worse. The eventuality of that, of course, is that it's going to fail. And when it fails, you won't be able to open nor close those gates that are adjacent to that structure where those radial arms are attached, and they will blow water until the reservoir is down. And if they flood the area beneath it, they flood the area beneath it. And all the time they're watching a crack grow greater and greater and greater. There are many ways to fix a crack like that. You can inject epoxy. That's certainly what I would do. You can put tendons through the sides if it's a disjointed piece of concrete. It doesn't matter how you fix it. You might even not get it right the first time, but you do fix it. You don't just watch it fail when you know that it's not going to get better. Dams do not get better. Concrete does not get better. These things progress from bad to worse. If you allow them to get bad, they're only going to get worse. You can watch them, and you can hire 10,000 engineers to put little jackets on that are bright orange and hard hats and stand and look at a dam, and it will never stop the water. Never. It never has. People watching water will not stop it. It takes structure to stop water and to hold water. It takes grouting programs and inspection programs and intelligent individuals who care to maintain a dam and to keep it maintained and to fight for the money to maintain it. Anyway, I apologize for getting off on a rant, and this has gone way, way, way too long. But the primary spillway, the concern that we have now, and let me voice that quickly. The other area that's very suspect, the bottom's gone. There is no bottom half of the spillway. It doesn't matter anymore. The water's cascading down, eroding away a very erosive rock. No matter how many times Mr. Croyle says that it's not erosive rock, he's spending $100 million a month to scoop it out of the Feather River. I think we all know that it is erosive rock, that someone made a misjudgment. That's just what it is. It is what it is. And we can all see what it is. We know that it eroded away, and we know that it's eroding away. We know that that rock is canting toward the embankment. We know that half of it is gone, and it won't grow back either. No matter how many engineers look at it, no matter how many dollars are spent, it will not grow back. It will be reconstructed, or it will not. The dam will stand, or the dam will fail. But it won't get better. Now we have the top half. At the gate structure itself, what I noted on the plans was, and my plans are pathetic, so you know I could make a mistake here, so I want to say that, and I want to hear if I have. And I'm sure that the people who want so much to see me make a mistake will be looking at this, so please do tell me, because I do not wish to make a mistake. I see fill at the head of the plate slabs of the sluiceway that is up to 4 feet deep. I saw fill at the breakover where it failed up to 6 feet deep. Now I'm very concerned of that area at the sill, which is where the gates seat. The gates seat on the sill. When the gates are all closed, the drains are not venting violently. As soon as the gates are open, all the drains vent violently.
And for several minutes after the gates have been closed.
Of course, because it's charged with water beneath the slab, right? And the soils, adjacent. So since the top ones are venting as well, it tells us that the communication of the water when they open the gates, the pool pressure water under the slabs is up near that top. So now I'm very concerned that the top of the plate slab evolution of the sluiceway will fail. If that fails, then the gate structure itself is in some serious jeopardy. That is what frightens me, and that's why this wins my most concerning failure mode for the Oroville Dam. If the top plate slabs fail, it will cause erosive cutback, of course. I know it's on bedrock, yada, yada, yada. I've heard that so many times it makes me sick. It's not. It's on crap, and it's poorly anchored to the crap. And if that fails, there's a very real possibility of the failure of the gate structure. And I think everyone knows that, except perhaps a couple people who are in positions of power at DWR. So that is the primary methodology for failure of this thing. This thing has run far too long. Next video, we will talk about the second failure mode, which is the emergency spillway, which was actuated at this failure, appropriately actuated, but turned out not to be what it was expected. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa, for helping, and we'll talk to you on the next one.